be able to fight in our own country. We must be able to survive in our own country. We must be able to make it in our own country. We must be able to make a living in our own country. Okay? If we cannot do so, then of course we will have no other choice than to render our society differently. We will make sure that it doesn't get to that level, but our society must be in our favor. So without tarrying, I will bring in Horace, because so far it's only him who's here. I haven't seen the other members as yet. Militants out there also, good afternoon to you, string to you, force to you interneters, good afternoon to you as well. And of course, we are here until 7 p.m. I don't think we'll have any Facebook this afternoon. So nonetheless, it is only at an ear level this afternoon. It is only what you hear. There's no visual, so there's no competition, there's no influence. You don't know if you have on any pretty shirt this afternoon, any ugly shirt. You don't know if you are shaved or not, our hair is comb or not. So it is only at an ear level. You will get information nonetheless, and it will go directly to your brain and have an impact. So on those words, I'll bring in Grassroots Horace, and then we will kick off with our program this afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Swaligan, Grassroots, people of St. Martin, friends, colleagues, and all those that follows the program for the controversy or the boldness, and that probably is another word we should be using, single-handedly a bold, and that we say it as it need to be said. There's no attempt to be hypocrites. There's no attempt to be diplomatic about what is. We just say what need to be said. And one thing we can guarantee you is that we are not going to fabricate anything. We are going to deal, and we deals with exactly the issue as it stands. But in a society where the advantages and disadvantages are very pronounced, the haves or the have-not basically manages what they touches on and make sure they don't step on the foot of those that have, or those that is the powerful and the weak. But the grassroots simply say, look, we couldn't care less whether you big, fat, mager, strong, powerful, and or not. We are your equals in each and every domain, and have concluded that it is basically an impression that one have of oneself. So when one think that one is powerful, you are so powerful for true. When one think one is large, you are so large for true. And we have seen through that, and there lies the secret in our approach. We are respecters of persons, but we are not respecters of office. We are not respecters of injustice, and we obviously would say what need to be said, even if one or two or a lot is uncomfortable. And would explain, and we must say that, would explain why we remain untouchables, because we deal with the truth. So if you can knock down the truth is, and the truth defends itself. So for the most part, then we get frowns, we get reactions that don't reach back to us. But because it is the truth, then we gone clear. And we know that, and that is the line that we choose to understand, and let it be known that because we respect everyone, we would not have anyone disrespect us on no situations, us or our organization, and we are ready, willing, and able to defend the interests of the organization and its members. We're going to get the definition, and we're going to roll for this evening program.
Yes, our motto. It does not require a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen to set brush fires in people's minds. Who's a St. Martiner? A St. Martiner is a person who can trace his or her roots from one or both parents to 1963 or before. These are bloodline relatives who can't be separated by nationality or colonial borders. It's not about born here or born to be here, it's about blood. We are a people of faith, we are a people of love, we are a people of unity. We are a friendly island. We will pursue the plan that God has for our life, an island, because we say so. God bless St. Martin.
Right. Well, the mission of the grassroots means for us simple, and that is all we need is two individuals, two members for the program to get rolling. And we have then since saying that we reached the quorum that permits the program to go. Grassroots, Freddie explained the absence of grassroots X-ray, or they making money or making deals, we don't know. But we don't expect him for this evening. If he calls, then you would all know that. We expect him at a later time, or at whenever that becomes possible, grassroots Rosaline, and for the rest of them, then Carleen or they might show up and you would recognize their voice when that came. Yes, big shout out to grassroots Etik, who is recovering superbly well, and we're going to fix when he's going to be back in the studio, but we know everything has went well for his reasons for being absent, obviously off Ireland. We're going to do not to call it a follow-up, the continuation of part 2. As you guys know, when Grassroots Freddie touched on the issue, they always got several chapters. So last program, or last Monday, we have engaged in the first part of what's it, jobs and poverty, and maybe India lies jobs, poverty, and corruption. But that's the corruption is my emphasis. So we're going to do part 2 on that, but before we get into that, we're going to touch a little bit on the COVID situation. For the most part, we know Guadeloupe and Martinique are in how they say tension zone, or how in French they say sous tension, whereas they have some what was it, curfew beyond 10 o'clock. Martinique might fall in that domain shortly. Question is why are these areas so sensitive to the presence of these COVID? Where is it coming from? Could be analyzed, and there are several theories that can be engaged that tries to explain why. No, we are not touching on this to be able to say we giving you news. No, we always say that at the grassroots, what we do is give a grassroots swing to an issue. So what we do is then we fix it, and then we choose to explain it from a grassroots point of view, and that's how we do it. So if we're saying the COVID situation now, what is the probability? One of the probable theories as to why is it's not complicated. France is or Europe for that matter is in between a rock and a hard place, and that their bet is on the vaccine, and the vaccine is their way out of it. So, mind you well, it is a risky situation because they, at the end of the day, don't have no control as to whether this how should we say that, this the COVID whether there would be variants of the COVID. So that's beyond their control. And if there's a variant that is so different that it does not, that the vaccines do not, how should we say that? If the vaccines do not affect it or don't have any effect on it, then you begin to see the type of situation that they're in. So that's not in their control, and at best, then they can keep their hand crossed. So their card is to vaccinate a maximum amount of people and hope that that COVID do not variate beyond the effect of the vaccine. And that is basically beyond their control. Of course, we know there are several, and then there's this new one they say doesn't show up under any circumstances. We'll see. But the interesting thing is that it is rising in each and every one, whether you say Holland, whether you say Germany, which is going into heavy curfew also, shutdown also, France, and it's a country that behaves weirdly, that seems to do not or attempt to be different in whatever it's doing. Indication is telling France to do a lockdown or shutdown, and she is resistant to the max as if. And then that brings us, and then we could engage the conversation, is they are treating the young people as if they are touch-me-nots. And I'm saying, and I would like to think, or I think that it's only normal that if there is a threat or health threat, then the question is everyone, all hands on deck, everyone has to be sacrificed or sacrifice a bit to be able to get back to normal. And there's this resistance, this fear in the young people days, and they die. And I find this an unusual argument, as if they are spoiled childs and that they shouldn't go through any difficulties or whatever. But particularly on the France, I hear that argument. Yeah? Every time you listen to them, les jeunes, mais quand même, if to go bad, then the jeune is affected, and if the jeune is part of the society, then they have their sacrifice to make. And it is an angle that I never could understand, and some of the time when I listen to it, I ask myself, what in the world they want? What? But it's not the jeune that is saying this. It is these pundits in radio and TV that seem to be spending their interest. And then you got the argument of the businesses and everybody. It's either you deal with the COVID, everyone go through the sufferation, get over with it, and then everybody benefit. But it's like, you don't want your business closed. This one is closed, but not that one. Why not me? My own is an essential business. I really don't understand that, but that is part of what we call white privileges, my analysis. And that's what I would say on the vaccine situation.
Yes, okay. What I would like to mention is this virus pandemic, this virus situation has many countries right now on the run. They have them really trembling, can't think straight, refraining from taking key decisions. It really have them on the run. And sometimes we would wonder, why is this virus gaining ground so much, for example, in Guadeloupe, Martinique, etc.? It's because those islands are large islands. Those islands are large islands. Those islands have close to 500,000 people that live inside of them, whether it's Guadeloupe, Martinique, or Guyana. And there is much more movement of people, goods, and services. And those viruses, they gain ground with the movement of people. Simple. And there is a large movement of people between Martinique and France and Paris, between Guadeloupe and Paris, between Guyana and Paris, and there's constantly a lot of movement. And that is the reason why it gains ground in those territories, and they are forced to take measures, which is locking down. A lot of businesses or individuals may not be happy with it, but they have to do something, because that virus now since a year have them on the run. But it is one thing for me to say that, but it is also another thing for me to state how this virus got among us, how it got there, the reason why it is there. I mean, it's a corona virus. It has been around for centuries, a long time. It is a nurse. It is part of us. It is composed the human body, but it has been decorated. It has been tampered with. It has been maneuvered with. They dress it up. They did something to it. They amplified it. They turned the element, the corona, they turned it into a dispositif de guerre, an element of war. I don't know if it got out of hand. It become a mischief tool, a mischief a weapon of war, and now it is very hard to contain it. So I might think that that is what has taken place, and if we don't be careful, if this situation continues, maybe we have to go for another lockdown again on this island. Okay, and yes, so this is what mainly I can say where this virus is concerned, because it is among our society, right? Right now, it is causing us to wonder, to tremble, to doubt many things, and it is part of our lives presently. So we will have to find out one way or the other how to deal with it. Good afternoon to you, Grassroots Roslyn, who has just entered the premises.
Good afternoon, radio listeners.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Freddie.
Thank you very much. So so basically that's what I can say on this virus. And then we need to also remember, and I think I made emphasis on it a few months ago, that this corona virus mutates. It changes aspects. Okay, and to me, it maybe it can go from bad to worse, because it mutates, it changes. So every time it is in a particular form, every time it is in a particular state, it stays there for about a few weeks or so, and then it changes again aspect. A new one develops. It becomes more stronger, more deadly, and that is the main danger of this coronavirus. Okay, I thank you.
So, but if I observe what is happening in St. Martin, I get the impression we are dropping our guards. You are seeing more and more people using their mask. Of course, I do think the sun has an advantage. We are in a tropical zone where it is consistently hot and has never been the friend of COVID. So truly, it is a plus for us. But at the same time, we seem to be dropping our guard, and I don't know if I think that is a good thing. I would use the point of reference, though, and we know that the Chinese have beaten fairly well COVID, but the Chinese in St. Martin have something to teach us, and you don't see a Chinese without a mask. You don't see a Chinese without a mask, and so I think we must use our head and wear a mask still. That part with the children wearing masks, well, I didn't get involved in it. I think it's about time that people get involved from that are typically quiet. So I don't know where it's at this point in time, but if parents feel that their children shouldn't be wearing masks, they should get up, come out, and engage themselves in something, at least for once. And if it is not effective as an approach, it's because enough parents are not committed. So the grassroots chose to observe and see where they're going. We choose to be observers on this one, and let's see, for once, if people believe in something, whether they are willing to fight for it. So we are not saying it's a bad fight, but hey, it's going to take a little more work than just that to get the government to react and stop making the children wear masks. Okay, we're going to go by the point 2, and the point 2 then is where Grassroots Freddy going to do his part 2 on job and poverty. I guess it's either he's going to reinforce it or he's going to widen the argument or the presentation on the job situation and poverty. I add my word of emphasis in there. It is his, not his word, mine. His own is job and poverty. So, Grassroots Freddy, the ball is in your court.
Okay, thank you. I saw Roslyn smiled a few minutes. Why smiled for?
I'm always smiling.
Okay. Well, yes. So I decided to reinforce the topic and to broaden it and to go a little bit more in depth with it. And mainly also because on the last session, those boys make me lose focus. So that also need to be said. And when you're dealing with a topic, I've always thought that you have a sujet, a topic, that you need to give it a specific introduction. You have to also move on to its development, and you also have to terminate with a specific conclusion. So I try to, as much as possible, to respect that particular order. And the reason why I am decided to tackle that topic is because of the various papers that I was reading for some days now, trying to analyze and put an aspect to it, which of course eats up a lot of hours and time. And trying to find a meaning to our sufferation, because nothing's in our favor. No one really is helping us. We are being used and abused and trampled upon. And if I cannot do it, no one else can. If a Sematno cannot do it, no one will come from Moscow and do it from us. No one will come from Bangladesh and do it for us. An element of the soil must be able to see, to analyze, to feel what is taking place. So none better than a grassroots element. And that's it. That's the way I see it. And but also the reason why, if you all notice, I am always basically on the board is because these boards is electronic equipped, and I have some little background where technical electronics is concerned. So Grassroots actually does make sure he does put me in front of this board to be able to manipulate these knobs and buttons and switches. So that is also why I'm here. A charade is taking place in our community. C'est une farce. That is what is going on in our community. When they are legalizing foreigners, one way when they are giving jobs to many others, non-St. Martiners. Those actions are tangible, they are real, they are strong, they stand out, they are forceful, okay? They make sense. They are not indifference compared to a tremplin. What is a tremplin? It is this mechanism that is used to propel an individual. That is what you call a tremplin. You jump on it and they spring you back off, a kind of a springboard, And that is what they give the youth in our society, a kind of a tremplin. You jump on this to you bounce back and bounce off, and so it is a tremplin. That is what we receive. We receive tremplin, we receive stage, we receive aids, little aids here, par-ci, par-là, food, flowers, projects, okay? Keep us busy with little projects, keep us busy with little formation, etc. Okay? Versus real things that takes place in our society. Give the European jobs, legalize those people, give them some tangible things that they can use, things that they can maneuver themselves with in the future in our society. And what is the pride of the Republic of France? It is giving their citizens a job, giving them a position, making them functionaries, making them engineers, shrinks, sociologues. À la différence, that is different. What is our pride? What is our pride? Millions, billions passes through our society, and we even cannot put up a rock wall for our sports people. Not even that we can't put up on a corner of the road a rock wall with the names of Funde, Chumalau, the late Franz Bull, etc. And in the past, I took a lot, much more younger, I took a lot of pleasure looking at those boys play. It was tremendous electricity for an individual to see. Okay? When you see one of those individuals with a ball, it is, I saw magic with my own eyes. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you what I've seen with my own eyes. So it is real, it is true. So the pride of France of that republic is certain things. The pride of a job, position, originated from the lights of France, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, le contrat social, la République, etc. So we need to get our act together. Okay? And the idea is not to be in a council and to express yourself and to just talk for talking's sake. But when you say something, it must mean something. It must mean after this, an action have to happen. Something must happen. It doesn't make any sense. Mimicking takes place in our society. Mimic, to mimic, le verb mimic. Well, look it up. So you got some things to do. Go on Google and find out the meaning of the mimicking. Recently, I heard one of the vice presidents, I don't know if it was Yahoo or so, express himself locally on one of those stations, and for me, he was mimicking. He was mimicking. That's what you call mimicking. It is shifting, not being clear enough, strategizing, imitating, resemblance, being superficial, not being clear. And that is what our society has become. If the host didn't mention to him about the 600,000 euros, maybe he would mention it. He passed on it. But that's what takes place in our society. And when I say millions pass through our society, billions pass through our society, is it at the use of St. Martin's? I don't think so. It must change. If you want me to roll on also to the Chinese issue, no problem. St. Martin's has been rendered negligible. We have been rendered useless. Okay? No meaning, insignificant, no pride. And that must change because non-valuable pushes us constantly in our corner to go and cook food. Okay? Go and be to the use of others. And if we are seeing, and that leads to poverty.
Yes.
And if we are seeing today that the Chinese are gaining ground, it is no mistake. It is real. C'est un fait réel. It is real because if they are gaining ground today, it's because somebody is helping them. Somebody is fronting for them. Somebody is doing paperwork for them. But guess what? That will not last because when you help them, it is only for a certain time. Down the line, tomorrow, they will no longer need you. Okay? You'll become their slave if you are not already. And they will also trample upon you. So we are not gaining ground in multiple areas, and others is gaining ground in multiple areas. That is what is taking place today because the St. Martin has no defense, has no one to turn to. The movement is here, yes, that is good, but it is not enough. It is not enough. The input of others is needed. The input of other forces is needed. The input of other vices is needed. Okay? Much more St. Martiners need to come to the ear to express themselves, to say the wrong that is taking place. St. Martin families today are being trampled upon. Okay? They cannot get the help that they are needed. I've seen the letters. They are bringing me constantly the letters, the articles, and everything. They are hitting them with all the laws and the articles and so forth. But they must know also that there is something by the name of la mauvaise foi. So when you hit in certain families, key letters with a bunch of packed with articles that has been most likely delivered on 1 day before or 2 days before the action, they must know that even though it is flooded with articles, la mauvaise foi est exprimée. And that has a strong effect. It can cancel a lot when la mauvaise foi is proven, okay, is examined, is seen, is implemented, and that takes place. I would like also to say that the mongoose is among us right now. Yes. The mongoose is among us right now. Who's the mongoose? Figure it out for yourself. The mongoose is among us right now, and he come to eat. He's eating up everything. He's taking everything. Okay? And we need to know that only the St. Martin is capable of helping himself today. The St. Martin can only rely on himself. What takes place in the council, in council meetings, that whole administration must change. Councillors, council members today, there is certain things that we need to know and understand. Is that we are in a so-called democracy, actually. We are in a democracy. You have the ruling party and you have the opposition. Opposition are not part of government. They are a representative of the remaining forces, of the remaining parties or so. They are representatives and they form an opposition to have a say, to make the whole process, to make the whole couverture, to make it whole that we are in a democracy and it's not only rulers who take part. So we are in a democracy, and the opposition needs to be present. It needs to see what's going on. They need to at least be there. But the ruling party and the president, you cannot oppose him. Those who are there cannot oppose him, and nor they cannot challenge him. Okay? It all when points are being presented in the council, it is being terminated by a vote. We will know who's here, who's for, who's against. Most likely, a day before or 2 days before, they decides what we're going to vote on, what we're going to reject exactly. So in that, so D-Day, on that particular day, there is no bouncing back and forth. There's no harassment, because it is the system, the organization, the council is put in such a way that the majority must be able to carry through with their objective, with their goals, with their points. There must not be too much hasslement going on there. You cannot, oppose him too much. You cannot challenge him too much. He must be able to carry out his points. That is how it is done. So, in a nutshell, that is what I have to say. I do believe I will take a little pause and then proceed again with a few more points, and then we'll go on and on and on, because there is much to say. I cannot cover it on one shot. I have to take my time and express these points as best that I can, because this is what is hitting the St. Martin now, and he must know what is hitting him, and also how it is being done.
You know, when you talk about building the rock wall to highlight our sports men and women that we had in St. Martin, it is a good idea. But putting the rock wall will mean that they had already been identified. They had already been showcased. We had already put a history book out on them, you know, and then you come and you final state will be to build a rock wall. And again, by identifying them and building them, then we would have other students, other role models line up behind of them. And for example, Jesse Torres, the case of him being locked away, that would have never been, because when you have somebody and you put them as an ornament, all dust what fall on them have to brush off. Okay? Because what he is being convicted for is self-defense. Self-defense. And so much a case. And this is again the failure of our leaders here in St. Martin. We have a big problem with the leaders of this country, this island. They are not doing anything to secure, to preserve, to protect the native people of the island. It's just as if they just get in the White House and decide, you know what, let us continue to destroy ourselves. I can't say it no different, because they are St. Martiners, they are Swazians, they are Walichis, and that's what they are doing. They are constantly going in and killing themselves. They ain't only killing us as a people, they're killing themselves because they are part of this people. And in the 21st century, it is a shame that this is still going on, with all what you're hearing passing, all the laws, all the different entities, the different organizations that is being put in place. Where is the benefit for the St. Martiners? Where is it? That's the question everybody asking. Where is me? Where is me? Where we own? Where we own? Why again in the 21st century there's no St. Martino?
Yeah. Okay. Freddy, your point clearly is fundamental, and I only could add to it, reinforce it, conform it. Let me begin by saying that we will not apologize for supporting our culture, acknowledging our history, our own, and that then would explain why we stand the way and leads the way. It makes it easy because we stand for something. You cannot be what you are not. Okay. I was not born in Europe. I'm not of European descent. European history is not my history. How in the world is it possible then for me to be taught as a European and expect me to be a strong, proud human being? Not possible, and that's exactly what is being done when you are sent to school and you walk out of school and not able to talk about your country and not talk about France, rather, and not your own. And we know it's easy for any one of us that was brought up in a French curriculum to describe any part of French geography, France, any great French heroes, and not our own. Well, yeah, find out the joint where you are at. But that's not just so. Yes, it is exactly for a reason that if the European child that is taught, then it is his language, it is his culture, it is his hero. So that child come out knowing of himself. The St. Martin, that is a non-European, taught that same curriculum, comes out being weak, comes out feeling less than, low self-esteem, because it is not his history. When he watch these people, they don't look like him. Their conquering and their destruction of the earth is, for the most part, is against him. As a consequence, you don't feel you're like you are their equal. That is the point. So when you don't honor your great players, your great leaders, your people, their culture, their ups and downs, then that people fights for nothing because they are nothing. They're insignificant. The St. Martin cannot tell you about himself because the St. Martin are not taught of himself. So consequently, he don't know of himself. But he's expected to tell you about France and its greatness. And as a consequence, that child then, I mean, you come see me in a room as a child with the European child talking about Europe and France. But that European child alone will see you in such a scornful and low esteem way because he know you don't look like him. Yeah, you there talk about my Napoleon, who in my book is nothing short of a bitch. Napoleon. But if you do French studies, if you was brought up under French teaching, you would think that Napoleon is this great person. And I know my history is able to tell anyone who, whether he black or white, that nothing is nothing but Satan incarnate. But I don't think it's possible to do it if you don't know yourself. And I think that if they teach you, you would never have the courage to do it. But I picked Napoleon, and I could go on and on. I just want to make that point. So it is part of the mission to continuously make us useless, insignificant, low self-esteem, low self-worth, and they come in and they do everything for you. There's the doctor, there's the supermarket owner, there's they are the builder, they are the one that owns the stores, they are the one that runs the bank. If the French government is able to send you send in a couple euros, it is they that is managing it. The mission that they point us to right now is to specialize in assistana, whereas they are specializing in building wealth. That's how it is done. You got difficulties, and they don't, rather than tell you, man, look, do you want to learn to fish? They tell you, man, go along, go get a fish. I'm gonna give you a fish. Are you following this route or that route? Did you seek aid? Because there's help there for you or whatever to be. Whereas they don't say that. When they are in our midst, they come here and they visualize a business to open. They visualize some kind of service to render. They specialize in managing such and such or administrating such and such. That is exactly where they are help. Now, when you bring all of that back in and you go at the situation with this coalition, I'm so disappointed in all those that, particularly those in this case that is and I'm talking about grassroots people who's in the teaching profession who maintain their silence about this putting St. Martin on the top gentlemen of our list about the cités scolaires and of national level. When I mean all of the universities in France, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Guyana, Reunion, St. Martin come out on top. I mean, somebody. Half an English school where that seemed system tells you that the children that supposedly come out shining here, when they reach in Guadeloupe, they're still weak. When they reach in France, they're even weaker again. That college comes out and beat everything in France, and that is to show you how you continuously rewarding mediocrity, where you are belittling systematically our people and rendering and keeping them, not even rendering them, no, keeping them useless so that they becomes only consumers in the society that we have. And we want to go wrong, and you got people and parents, I don't know much of them, but I want to say those in the teaching profession, shame on all you guys. Open your mouth and say no. How much of those children comes out and with professions that we need in St. Martin? I don't know. So how could we should reject it and say, please take me off the list. I don't want in. Because it is not serving, so we get it for orienting the children. That is a goal now.
Tell us exactly why, exactly.
That is a goal for us to be oriented and hear it. If the child say, I want to be a doctor, they tell the child, say, I see you good enough to be a coiffeur or hairdresser. And we is rewarded for that. And then nobody say nothing. But the nice gratifying part of it is some of these people, particularly that are just happy to feel that, okay, I set up and I maybe think I reach and up there, and consequently my children don't come out, their children don't come out better than nobody. There's failures too. Because it says that when we go forward together, we only could go forward together. Nobody could eke out their own and think they are likely to succeed, because it becomes a culture generally that my child and your child grows up in. Okay, so that would explain the path. And then also the education system is so disastrous. When in the world we going to get a profession to run the country? We are not going to get it. The school year is supposed to be up by July, for example. we know that the orientation packs every trail off the island. And when you pack every trail off the island, but the point I'm saying, for all these years, if we get back 1%, and when we get back 1% and somebody come in there say, man, we got a little lawyer come back after he left maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago, none don't come back. I don't hear nothing about none. But we getting top honors and on the French scale by reputable, if that's the word, papers and press people, and telling us that we going, and you got a collectivity cool with that, huh? And you got a government cool with that. And this is exactly what we got. This explains the corruption. This explains because we are in a corrupted situation because we don't run nothing. So we need corrupted. We corrupted, It is a corrupted system run by everybody else and not us. That's the story. So even now, if you say, all right, move out the way, and we're going to run things, we can't do it because we are not educational system mediocre, hence don't produce no professionals that the society needs, and consequently we can't get to do. There's the plan, there's the strategy, there's the game that is in place. So you get what? You get a people that is rewarded to be mediocre too. And by virtue of that, you can't have no respect for them, and somehow we could save ourselves. It is true, we could save ourselves, but you need the right people. But when you got a people that is so out of touch with themselves, they even can't vote straight. Huh? They can't vote straight because they dumb and dumb. You could argue to them the best of argument, and they will is able to come and tell you that the type of leadership that they got is still good, and he's doing a good job, and I think we got to put him back. The level of thinking that we have, we don't have that capacity for critical thinking, and we don't got the capacity of a critical mass of individuals that are able to analyze for the people, defend the people, and the respect. And if you who carries the public opinion is the media, and which media we got? We must have got about 3 or 4 papers on 97, 150, what's the other one? There is the Pelican, the St. Martin Week, the Fax FO, and they got some other little one in a couple of them, and Swaliga Post. We don't want these papers. We don't want the papers. But they pulled ad, and you know what has happened? We saw out of things is that if you put up, and those papers are successful, and because I know when we was had this SMICO organization, and there was, I don't remember the context of it, but I'd get to the point where I wanted to say, in this person, we had to meet this person. The person said, but I look at the papers, and the paper only have articles and there's no advertisement. He said, then I know the paper it cannot be profitable. I know that's one of the reasons why the Lake Boys papers fail. But when you look at the Facts Info, when you look at the any of these papers, they are riddled with ads. Because it is their paper, they are going to support their paper. And when it is yours, they are not going to get to do. But that is because we are in control of nothing. If they were local businesses, we would get love, they would advertise. But we don't own nothing. We don't manage nothing. And when what you get now from your peers, your fellow grassroots people like you, and different silence. Like, hey, think that what I think. Me that would listen that what idea doing saying everybody should be there, and you got to take this one consideration, and you can, and they lose their tongue because they are basically in a financial mode. We don't say political mode, but basically it's a financial mode. I want to grab for me. I want my little couple digging because I weak too. I marginalized too. Don't think that little clique think that they run things and think that they rich and think that they arrive any better off than Joe Average in the society. They are not better off than Joe Average. All they are trying to do is keep their nose out of the water. But forgetting that we have to sacrifice collectively for ourselves and our children. And they are not doing that. They are selling themselves, they are selling their children, they are selling this country, they are selling their people. And we all perish, including theirs. And I really just think that that's the only satisfactory part of it. Okay?
Know that you ain't going down.
Yeah, I'm going. They're going down.
Yeah.
They're going down too. And when you look at them, I don't think none of them could put up their hand and say, "Your child failed, but my succeed." No lie. Theirs won't fail too, because they didn't act collectively in the best interest of all. All is one and one is all. But they think that one is it and all ain't more. That's basically the mindset and the motto that they functions by.
Yes, we have been again rendered negligible, and we have been rendered non-valuable. But since let's talk a little bit about the papers and local papers and publicity, I think I need to inject a little bit, 2 minutes, how this is done, because that is part of economy. And economy is the movement of goods, people, and services. And it runs on demand and supply. But other than that, it all does coagulate in a kind of a system, because it runs under a system of one, the energy that takes place in that economy, the movement, the energy. One helps each other, one supports each other. For example, the businesses will support a particular paper, and that is the energy that exists there within that economy. The banks, a tool that a lot of us does not talk about, and maybe didn't really understand the importance of the impact that banks has on a system. The Winard Island Bank was a great contributor to St. Martin's in the past, for example. Many banks. And when a bank is no longer in the favor of a people, they just melt down. They cannot prosper, they cannot survive. It is a decadence. Because you need banks to start the business, because you don't have that money at hand, and that's where banks is created for, because they have the money. They forward you, they grant you a certain amount, and you pay it back on a smaller scale every month. But they needs to be there, because that is what is needed in order to for a society, for our people to take ground. So that was taken away from us. So that was just a specific parenthesis. Our community has become a lab ground. Okay, it has become a breeding ground. That's what it has become. When I opened the past St. Martin's week of the 26th of February 2021, on one of the third pages, there's a little article, and it goes like this: Société, pauvreté et faits divers. Pourtant, certains moyens sont bien déployés. Il y a quelques semaines, nous titrions l'un de nos articles, because the paper also, even the paper comes out with some information. Remember, there is also be curious to see what others are printing, what other papers is also championing. So they does also give their insight on this, their past articles and etc. Il y a quelques semaines, nous titrions l'un de nos articles La tension à Sanigong inquiète le représentant du conseil de quartier. Le fait qu'il n'aura échappé à personne que les faits divers semblent en augmentation et que l'action des pouvoirs publics ou l'efficience des dispositifs déployés interroge forcément, ce qui ne signifie pas pour autant qu'il n'existe pas. So it means to say, even though they doesn't mention it, doesn't mention the deplorable situation, does not mean to say that it does not exist. That is what is said. Le contrat de ville 2015-2020. La paupérisation de certains quartiers est une réalité qui n'a pas attendu la crise sanitaire et qui a justifié que Sanigong et le quartier d'Orléans rejoignent la liste des quartiers prioritaires au titre de la politique de la ville définie par le décret numéro du 30 décembre 2014. Il y a plus de 6 ans déjà, l'État et la collectivité ont en juillet 2015 signé le contrat cadre dit contrat de ville qui permettrait de définir les priorités d'intervention selon 5 grandes thématiques. Qui sont-ils? L'habitat et le cadre de vie, la santé, la scolarité et la réussite éducative, la jeunesse, le sport, la culture et la vie associative, l'accompagnement social, ainsi de suite, la sécurité, ainsi de suite. It is good that, and most likely, if we got time, continue later on. But for now, it's good to stop on these few points. But these few points are key. I don't have a problem with them. They are key. They are essential. They are saying exactly what is taking place. But as I mentioned earlier, the reality of the fact is that nothing is done. Nothing key is done to be able to solve effectively the problem of poverty, the problem of helping genuine these people. That is what I want to say. The emphasis is not really placed on these aspects, on these youth, on the people, on the St. Martiners. It is not placed. They are just talking about it. They are stating it, but genuinely, we are not seeing anything taking place. One way they are mimicking, the other way, others are getting the real jobs and positions, others are being naturalized, and that is what is taking place. So somebody is fooling somebody. I need to say also that today, many St. Martiners can see and reflect of the choices that they have done in the past. Okay? The voting process, voting for XYZ. Many have taken decisions that is now today hitting them right back in their faces. And that is sad. And that is a reality. And that must stop. And the implication of much today is needed. All hands on deck. Okay? Key individuals need to come up front, and it's no more about showing off. It's no more about mimicking. It's no more about showing off. It's no more about pretending. We are going down the drain every day, day by day. The noose is getting smaller. So either we come together or we do something tangible, something that will make a difference, or we all go down the drain.
Yeah, I like the correlation with the noose, because we always see noose when you hang somebody on television or in a documentary or something. But don't forget, things only getting smaller. But when the nose closes, your neck broke. And that's pretty much our fate. That's the point. As a people, that's our fate. The noose is getting smaller, but at the end of it all, we will be destroyed because of this mindset that we have. Now, no matter what we do, somehow, somewhere, and I want to think, and we hear it some of the time, they say, well, and I think Grassroots Nadika mentioned it also, and not only that in all their voting, they have always voting for Grassroots. And we are still in the state that we are in. So at some point in time, we then would have to try to see if we could explain what happens or what is happening or what is causing this reality whereby we cannot rise above. And this is not unique or particular to the north more than it, and more so even to the south. For the south, this is basically St. Martin. What can explain this reality? What is the common denominator that says that you get you never get a leader that performs? And but don't forget the educational aspect that we talk about last round. And in this time, I'm going to add in the famous and the massive sedative. And I remember when they said sedative, and I remember as a child, and the famous word when you keep maybe too much noise, or you run around too much, and your parents would later know by sedate yourself, meaning calm down. So what is the base sedative that basically sedates the grassroots people, no matter where he be? I was going to say no matter where educated. No, none of us is educated. If it is the French curriculum that teaches us, there's no chance that we are going to be educated. We are only going to be educated to be like this. So then, hey, look, one of the elements that says these people can't go beyond acting, thinking, behaving like the slave master, the slave driver, the colonizer, the imperialist, or whatever to be. And then we got the additional element, and which I think is the great sedative, is religion. And that is the one that sedates everything and makes everything bearable, because the more you suffer, you begin to hope that and dream and wish that better days have to come, but the better days that will have to come are not going to come now. They will come tomorrow. So I think I felt that it was important that we bring in that element. So I got a little well, I don't have the word quote, but anyhow, probably help you understand where my argument takes me, and it is not separate from what we have been engaging in a little while now. And I began to quote, and it reads, Les Blancs, and I'll do it back in English, this is not that long, so Les Blancs ne prient jamais et vivent en maître, mais les Africains, or the black man, or the non-white, aiment Jésus. I'm quoting here, it's not my wording, et vivent en esclave partout. La question est qui trompe qui? Okay. If I go to English now, it will say the white man does not pray or don't pray at all, and I ain't no lie. And he lives as a vie en maître, and lives as the master of this world that we live in. He got all the money. He run the administration. We can't want a better example of St. Martin, but it says Guadeloupe or whatever. No matter what the administrative office, they pack it with. And it's so true that I was looking at the news, Guadeloupe News, or Guadeloupe Premier News last evening, and you got Le Marteau de Saint-Martin. I think that was the association founded by Pastor, not Pastor, the priest, the Catholic priest, now dead, Charles. And I freak out on it, and I say, the interview or they bring in and the short clipping, I think they're talking about difficulties or poverties after Irma or whatever it be. And it's a European that is the manager of the Marteau de Saint-Martin. That explains exactly. And then they bring in a little interesting piece, but just to show you how the contradiction works. They put the European is because that European now is going to make money flow into that organization because it is one of them. That's how the system works. They have confidence and they sustain this domination that they have. And so if you have a non-European in there, the association is going to get little or nothing. You put a European there, all kind of aid is going to begin to pour in there. And then they mention no, but when they start to get a lot of money, they're going to put somebody, bring back in a non-white to fool you, powder on your face, but they in the back managing it. Here is the Bartin now, and the same little clipping, the Croix Rouge. And the Croix Rouge now, they didn't, but the Croix Rouge is European dominated. You don't get control of the Croix Rouge. And we know how they treated Grassroots Diane, who gave one or two others, gave it a structure of sufferation and difficulties for so long, and then when money started to flow, they position it with their European people. And the Croix Rouge is one of the biggest business on this island. I didn't say association helping people, I said business on the island, running a business. And guess what they do now? Because the money started to flow so well, they put a non-white in front as the manager, Karam. Alj is a figurehead because the money don't in, the money start to flow. But now what they're going to do now is take the Marteau de Saint-Martin and turn it into a money machine. And when to done a money machine and they have control of it, then you ends up now putting back a little black face in there. But just a simple little figure here, collecting a little salary and end up being a yes person. That's how it was. So, this is then to show you this. Why don't pray? Don't call on God, and dominates the world. And the black man now love Jesus, always on the knee, neat on black, sitting on them for God and heaven's sake, how long? And he's still a sufferer. And again, this is not any version of black enlightenment, but it is in many form, but it ties clearly into the reality. So that simply is to say that is the great sedative that is making it acceptable to be sufferer, politician, European educated, and or not. You don't cry for nothing. You don't go through the door and participate in no protest for nothing, because there is always an extended hand. What's your problem? But hey, you got no coverage, then go get coverage. So don't make a noise. But we seem to forget that riches are not made by social assistance. Riches are made by running your business. Riches are by building your wealth, investing, constructing buildings, administrating something. That's where millions are made. That's where riches are made. That's where the world, or the Europeans, dominates the world. And then, but need to be mentioned in there that it is they who encourages you to go to church. And if your church is difficult, you know, you freak me out. No, I ask myself, what are they waiting on to build back these churches? And you know why these churches are not about to be built back because Jesus ain't coming to build them back. The collection money finish a long time and then I get built back. But what I want to say by that is all depend on how old the churches are, and if these churches are older than 1905, they are the responsibility of the state. The collectivity or the state of France. So I'm throwing a ball to those who manage in the Methodist Church and tell them they got to go along to the state. That church is older than 150 years old. Okay? And that falls under the law of laicite. And it is the role of the state to rebuild it. Watch what happened with the Cathedral of Notre Dame. It was rebuilt right away, and did we observe that the Catholic Church in Rome had not a word to say? It was a responsibility. But because we're so dumb and dung by the European training in this society, everybody just got a handful. Like, we supposed to put in, I call for religion. I see it as a landmark. Okay? It's a monument. And we shouldn't be silenced. Either we do understand or we educated enough, because if the European teach you can't be no bright person. And it is their responsibility to rebuild that trust. Daniel gives that association, presidents there, supposed to have make sure that building is rebuilt. Because it's a monument. And it was built before 1905. And if it was built before 1905, it falls under the responsibility of the state. Now, anything younger than that's a whole different story. But that one in particular, the Catholic Church, mashed up to no degree. So, it doesn't apply. But that church there, that monument, let me take out the word church. That monument had to be rebuilt again and look like to go in places. What they do is they put up wood around it.
That information came out, what you just said here, it came out already in the papers.
Okay, well, there you go.
Even in 19, it came out already. But we need to also say and know that, for example, the cathedral went to get burned down. There was a lot of private entities who pledged that I'm going to put $1 million, $2 million. So the state say no problem, but you can bring as much as money as you want, but you will not get any tax breaks. A lot pull back the money. But say what I say that for? I say that for that legally by law, yes, it is a state. But if private parties have the money and if they are willing to put it back into order, they can do so. But anyone who come up with money and say, let us, private parties, and say, let us do something, nothing kind of. But
I agree. Okay, fine. But the black man ain't got no money. Just come from saying, they don't call on Jesus and the black man he needs.
Not only that, no, but
on his knees, pray and forgetting that. Look, I know I ain't got no collection money.
You got associations.
Okay, so organize like
millions. There's floods into our society,
and get the bill.
Millions is not needed to fix the church. Millions is not needed. But total associations in 2020, 2021 get so. Look at here, au titre du contrat de ville, l'État en 2020 consacre 700 000 € pour soutenir à quartier d'Orléans, Sanigong, ainsi de suite. 30 associations dans leur action. So associations get money. There's money there. The money is going. There's money there.
So they're paying too much and ain't doing what they're supposed to do.
The thing about it is that when you see, they leave the church there, we will look at it as it's part of our patrimony, part of the monuments. But these buildings are being left there to rot on purpose. Because I believe they have a plan somewhere behind the trees hiding that they need that spot. And I sure they in a battle between the breaking it down and paying out the Methodist owners of the church. Somewhere something, because every time you see a building stay too long unattended, it starts to deteriorate. And for some reason, our ancestors ain't leaving that one go, because she's standing strong and she's fighting in the hot sun, telling them, fix me. But it's so stubborn, because I believe they got something behind that they want to throw down that church to build something
so
else.
The point is I'm getting nothing. Okay, yes, the cathedral in France, the Notre Dame, there was a lot of public offer, but the state reacted. We had a direct intervention from Macron on the burning of that church. And that is how they say, another gatherer of Satan planned to destroy black man. All was sanctified in the Cathedral of Notre Dame in France. But the point I'm getting at is okay, yes, there was these public offers, but what I'm saying is the government personally involved in making sure that it is rebuilt. And it is a general from the army that is managing it to make sure that it comes back to life. If you got a government that ain't indoctrinated with God knows what else except himself, he wouldn't got the vision, the guidance to say, let me have pride and rebuild rebuild back that monument. Okay? That's how our ancestors went through in and out there. Are you Jesus part of that? Are you there? I'm just simply saying that it shows how it works. So everybody probably just praying it's going to happen. Go along and see the people in there, and every minute, every time, and yes, in one of what I told last week, you say there is this ton of money yearly given out to associations. What then is the organizers of that building waiting on to go and do what is necessary to be able to get back that monument?
Our association never received €1 so far.
Oh, well, okay, but all right. So, okay. And that explains everything, and that's the role of religion. That's a religion explain exactly why that building ain't getting built. Religion explain exactly why everybody accepts everything. Religion explains why it is possible to donate in a European invented association designed to extract money from the collectivity and gets it. So, okay, look, I nobody don't no surfing here. Let me put together an association so I'm going to teach young people surfing. Next year they get €250,000. But to put back a monument in the middle of Margot, nobody, including and I want to, St. Martin, historically speaking, had two main religions: Catholic, Methodist. You either one of them, and anything else, leave from one of them went the others. So in other words, somehow, somewhere, if you is dealing with St. Martin people, you had a touch with one of these religions. I ain't legitimizing them, but I'm saying you then could have the sympathy to say, I as president, or I as opposition, or I as councillor would like to know what is being done for the rebuilding of that monument in Margot. I ain't going to parliament. Macron, right? Take care of the one Paris. St. Martin politicians are to take care of the one in their midst. They are not doing it. But if you go along with your Jesus story, nothing will happen. Maybe nothing happening. What you got to do is come out of that stupidness that is keeping us down. That sedative, that opium, as Karl Marx say, that the opium of la religion, c'est l'opium du peuple. Not my words. The words of Karl Marx. All it do is it dumbs and down, it sedate, it turn you stupid, it make you sleepy, except being constructive.
Yeah.
Except being constructive.
Yeah. Why is this happening to us? Why is this happening to us? Why we, as Nadika or I said, why is we in this situation? Why nothing is changing? The mindset is not there. The mindset is not there. Political maturity is not there. I can easily and clearly say that. Look, for example, I can state many examples. On this island, both north and south, we had many elements in the past, part of XY groups, part of XY political parties. One or two members would lift up their hand, jump up and say, I want to do this. I want to do X, Y, Z. That's all you had, for example, in the past. If I'm not mistaken, the Roland Duncan, make a certain proposal for, have implementation of a university. I do believe it was turned down. This turned down, that turned down. Road or something with million or whatever, it turned down. It is because you can have the goodwill of one or two members, but if the mindset is not there for the political party on a whole, it will not happen. It will not take place. Versus, for example, if you see what is taking place in Martinique, Guadeloupe, where the mindset is there. Guyana, the mindset is already implemented. It is there. It stands out. It is the dominant factor for progress of a people. It stands out, so the mindset is already there. So what that means? That means that once the mindset is there, they can take an element from Guam, bring him in, and let him execute a particular mission, whether it is the medicine area, the educative area, because the mindset is already there. You can take a Poto, a Jalto that you see, who was never visible, who was never a militant, who was never on the rear. You just take them, drop them in the seat of power, and they do what they have to do. Rosalie laughing. But it is true. It is what happens. Because the mindset is there. But if we don't have the mindset, and you would have one or two members who want to do something good, it never takes place because the mindset is not there. But as long as we don't get key elements in our society to say, guys, enough is enough. Let us stop the stupidness. The mindset, let us get the ball really rolling. Then that will change. But the mindset is not there because it is our way of doing things is an individual manner. It is a show off, as if I could get first before you. Look at you, you still in slippers, you were in a bike. Look at me, I got SUV. You know what I mean? I driving an Yako cotton stall. That is what goes on in our society, And the others are coming up. The others are coming here and they are eating us up. That is what has to happen. If I inject again 2 little points on my article, you will see, if I read on a little further, what it says. It says that pourtant, l'État déploie bien des actions plus directes en la matière en travers, notamment, si l'on se borne au plus récent de cet appel à projet. You see, so the state is putting the emphasis on projects. They are giving the monies to associations, and then from there, it is no longer transparent. Because they say, in order for us to solve the many problems in our society, you need projects, you need this, and then they give the money to association. We don't know what is done. What exactly is done, because from there on it is no longer transparent, and that is where you have appel de projet. What is appel de projet? What is that? It has to do with painting faces and putting them up in Margot? Is that a project that makes really sense? That has an impact? that really stands out, or that is something, as they say, which is ephemeral, that dies out, vis-a-vis the what is perenne, that what lasts. We need to know exactly what direction we want to go in order to really help the St. Martin. Thank you.
Straight up, well said.
Yeah, so it does explain everything, and I guess we almost always all get in our pack the house with the board or the hour or the show with where we want to go. But I just would try to conclude by saying this is that we have to work on ourselves. Don't expect the Europeans. Don't expect France. Don't expect the prefect. Don't expect the president. Granted, he's a grassroots. Ain't doing a good job at being one, but he's one. And don't expect the opposition and or to do anything for you. You got to do it for yourself. Make sure your children get an education. Rather than spending your time trying to having the most recent to the last phone or the most expensive phone. And I now that I said I watched one of these little clips, somebody was saying, somebody tell me, well, not somebody tell me, but it goes like this. Yeah, the person gone showing up with their friends and say, look, buy a $1,200 or Mad Loy phone. Could you lend me $15 or $20? Person say, well, I'm going to download the money. But the moral of the message is simply this: is to say that it falls back to us, because it is true we should expect it from leadership, government, to take care of facilitate things for us. They are not doing it. Then we got to do it. But at a minimum, take care of your children. Make sure they get that education. Don't worry that stupidness, embarrassment. They've got to all laughing at us. Maybe everybody in France in every education department in France or school or university and say, why such a stupid fools. He say not thinking that is a great thing that St. Martin come out on top of the class as the best orienter, and that is a prize. Don't depend on that, don't follow that, don't mean nothing. You do what you got to do to get your children to come back and serve this country. We don't want them to come back to go along go sit and behind a cashing machine in Super U. We don't want them to come back and I don't know what, get a collectivity job. I don't know what, doing something. We want them to come back to be a doctor. We want them to come back to be an engineer. We want them to come back to be a technician. We want them to come back to manage the collectivity. We want them to come back to be able to defend you, whether you're Jesse or any one of us that would be in problems tomorrow. Yes, we talk about local heroes, but yeah, do we forget? We almost forget that Jesse sitting in jail for almost a year now. And nothing is being said about what has happened to him. This is the opium that we're talking about. And even if we say that way, they look like the evening organizing a prayer meeting for Jesse. Okay? And that's exactly what happens when a people is being sedated and they are not reacting to absolutely nothing. All you do, whatever you do with them, they take. Remind you of you got some children that is real disorder, whether they 1 year, 2 year old. You got some of them, wherever you put them, you come back, you find them in the same old little place.
Yes. Some you can't find nothing.
Well, some of them, if you turn your back, you find them on the road or whatever to be across the road, and you say, "Boy, go goodness." You ain't gonna say that the ancestors had you back, that he get across the road and he get knocked down. You say, Jesus save him from not getting knocked down. But we that kind of child. They got us rest down wherever they leave us, right there where they find us. You take the church. The church get mashed up, the radio back up, put on. They break down the school in the middle of Margot, the radio quietly put on. They break down the things in Grand Cars, the radio put on. Not a soul say a blessed thing. So this is where the specialty now began to be destroyed, a strategy of destruction. And yes, it's a rather interesting angle when Grassroots Roslyn mentioned, say, yeah, they can break it down sooner or later. And then nobody else said nothing either. They can break down that church of nobody, or that chapel, or whatever the word. The church is the people, chapel is the buildings. They can break down that chapel. And nobody can say nothing about it. So you know what they do? Rather than put up a fight, you put up a little tent in the back, and they say keep in church. Another people that they find prefect, they find lawyer, they find president, they set him down, and you drag him in a corner. Say, I wanted bill, and because it is in the books, he would have had to respond. Okay, but nobody seems to be there. And this is the problem. So we marginalize, but we are over quiet child. We don't move where you rest us is where we stay. And consequently, if you don't bring the food, give me still steady and even don't cry out, ball out to let you know that you're hungry and suffering. That is where we at. Well, fortunately for us, we are. Well, tell them speed up.
Carlo, good evening. You're live. Carlo, good evening. You're live.
Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead, miss.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm listening to the program, and because it's good to learn about certain things, about the church and everything what you're talking about. It is heart-wrenching because it is not really, it should not be that way. Somebody should take it up, and our president's grandfather preached that really hard. I remember for Lulu Mussington's mother's funeral, God rest and bless her, one of the nieces said she kept asking about the church. So this information that you gave today, I hope that somebody who is in power or somebody who is a part of the church will run with it and do something with it, because it really doesn't look good. I do not agree with what you're saying about the church. I am a Christian. I know that my belief in God is me. Our ancestors here did it, and this is what took us here. We are not taking care of what they did, but I know that God is real for myself. So I do not believe in your views about religion and all that. But this thing about the church, I hope that somebody will take it and run with it. Thank you.
Well, Carlo, thank you very much. We were experiencing some little technical difficulties, so we did not really get your point of view. So no, exactly.
In order for her to come to like try to tell me that
yes.
What she's saying.
Okay.
To go as a question to say.
Speaking the mic, you are here on you?
You got volume?
Yeah, go ahead.
Carlo, based on the difficulties, I really didn't hear what you're saying. So I cannot respond. Freddie, you hear a little bit of what she's saying, essentially?
Yeah, it wasn't so clear, but it's hold a second. Scan idea.
Video.
But yeah,
yes, it was.
Okay, give us a quick synopsis.
Very low. Hold on, son. Hold on, son.
Try answer.
No, he's
answer the phone.
Yeah.
Give us.
Get a call for me. Call? Yeah, get it in because.
Hold on. What are you doing? Well, you could go ahead now.
Go ahead.
Say
Open up.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Carla. You're live. Go ahead, Carla. You're live.
want it
We
come
hear
through
it here. We hear it here.
I want it on a speakers.
Huh? Okay. Well, can I invite the caller one more time? Or it's too late. Caller, you can try one more time if you wish, because we are just experiencing some little. Okay, the caller's coming again. Can you get it? Yes, caller, go right ahead. You can talk now.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear her here, but I can't.
Give me here.
We not hearing her. Yes, I just. Oh, we not hearing her here. Yes, go. Hold on.
Tell me we want mic. I mean we want speaker.
Hold a second.
Then I'll hold it.
Hold on.
Okay.
We just getting certain little points there in order. How come it's not coming through? How come it's not coming through the mail? I'm hearing a lady, we are corresponding.
Listen to her.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Tell her go ahead.
Okay, go right ahead. You can speak.
Okay. All right. So I was saying that I do not agree with what you all are saying about religion. I am a Christian and it works for me, and I can read and write for myself, so nobody can turn and twist me. But I'm glad about what you said about the Methodist Church, because it's really sad. And our president's grandfather preached at that church. So it should not be in that condition. I've already spoken to Mussington also, because his late mom, God rest and bless her, she was asking about it. When is it going to get done? So I'm hoping that people will hear what you're saying, the ones in charge, and that they will run with that, because it's a shame, really. We have the stadium, we have the library, we have that church. Those are national disgraces, and it should not be, because we have young people in power. So I'm hoping that they will run with that. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I hear you now, Carla. No. Our mission here in Monuel, and now that you mentioned that church and you mentioned the president, grandmother, and whatever to be. Yes, my mother, my parents, my ancestry are all Methodists. Eh? So the problem for us is not there. That's why I could point out to it. But we are also bringing an additional angle in saying that and the idea here is not to turn away no one and say, if you want to be a Christian, I know the root. I was brought up in those environments. So the problem for us is not whether we want to change no one. We are not attempting to change no one. What if we must go down that road? Only what we would say is this: look, I have gone back to what is all mine, African spiritualities, and there is African spirituality and Christianity, which has to do with the Europeans and their ability to turn us into these dumb and dumb people. Now, for the part of the church, okay, that's the part that you agree. Yes, we agree. That building has to be rebuilt. And the route and the part that is being used is a disaster. It is a disaster. And this is where we wanted to point out. Now, you would not get us go down any road with you about religion, the African spirituals versus the Christian. We are not going. However, I keep my own, and I would help the world as descendant of the Africans to abandon it, because it has not done, I truly believe it has not done what it had to do for us. So, but let's make the equation, or let's get where we want to go. Yeah, that building, that monument has to be rebuilt, and if we don't be careful, they would break it down. Okay, they would break it down. I don't want to break down. Not because I know that's a church I was Christian. I could say 1,000 things about that church. That's not the point. I'm getting that we got to stop praying and start acting. That's the point. Because if praying had to rebuild that church, I'm sure it would have been rebuilt already. What you got to do is go petition the collectivity, petition the state, petition the prefect. I don't know, siege the collectivity to get it done. That's all we're saying. But anyhow, it's nice that you Carleen, and that would be our answer. We're sitting on someone else's time. We're going to run on that. And thanks for the call.
Okay, St. Martin, Swaziland's North South. We have come to the conclusion of our program this afternoon. Thank you for listening. Have a good evening, and we will be here again with you next week, Monday, from 7 to 9. So again, have a good afternoon, and thank you very much. Take care.
FM.